Amy, do you have a good party trick?
I have a couple. One is fitting my entire hand inside of my mouth. That's brought out only at certain stages of evenings.
I was going to say, I won't ask you to do that right now.
But I learned a TikTok rap song all in German, and I don't speak German. That also is brought out only when, I give everyone like, hey, it's a minute and a half, like you'll have your life back. But yeah.
Do you want to do like just a slice now?
Yeah, sure. Es war einmal in einem kleinen Städtchen, da lebte eine Mädchen namens Barbara. Und diese Barbara war am ganzen Land für ihren arbeiterguten Rhabarberkuchen bekannt. And that's the one, if you remember the dance where they go, Barbara's Rhabarber. Abracadabra, you know that.
Yeah. Your German accent, I don't speak German, but that's like, if I heard that, I'd be like, well, that's a native German speaker.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I think there's like, because in America, the A, you can go like, or ah, and I think they do more ah, and I do way more often. So there's some like fluidity there, but beyond that, the R's are like a pain in your butthole, but I think I got them pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good party when you bring that one out.
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Emily Moyers and Kyle Imperator take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Emily Moyers.
And I'm Kyle Imperator.
And today we are joined by special guest Amy Vorpahl. Amy Vorpahl is a comedy internet nerd known for her big laughter. She has guested on Critical Role and Dimension 20 and has written for official D&D books Candlekeep Mysteries and Fizzband's Treasury of Dragons, and is the creative director for Alchemy RPG's world and campaign book Dark Symmetry. She has 2 nerdy music albums, Songs in the Key of D&D and Behold Her Dreams, and is probably best known for being the worst or best contestant on Dropout TV's Breaking News. Amy, it is so great to have you on.
You nailed it. It is so great to be here.
So, Amy, do you have any favorite words or words that you learned recently?
Okay, I think my favorite, so I'm going to skip over this one because I don't have like a great explanation. My favorite word of all time is pillow because it's a truly bizarre word. And I don't know, like I've had trouble getting it out of my mouth sometimes, but I think it's pretty whimsical. I don't really have a reason for that. I just really have always been like pillow. Like it's the word that I say all the time that loses its meaning because I'm like, what is that? Yeah. But a word I read recently is hove, Hove. And I was like, what even is that? And it's basically like an old-timey version of the past tense of heave. But the way this book kept using it was they're driving across really flat lands like Kansas or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they say like this town hove into sight. And I was like, what could that word mean? And I always just I just looked it up the second time I saw it. Cause you just move on. You're like, whatever. I guess it hove into sight. And then the second time you're like, wait, this must be something. And I thought it was really beautiful.
That is a really cool turn of phrase.
It's very magical sounding for something not knowing the context, for something to hove into sight. You're like, wow, oh my.
You do get the context. Like it wasn't like it was lost on me, but I was like, it wasn't like an asterisk in my brain going, excuse me, what? Yeah. And I don't think I've ever seen that word in my life before. I highlighted it in my Libby book. For what reason, God knows, for
this exact moment.
Yeah. And then the other 2, this is the second category, which is 2 words that I'm dying to use. I've been doing musical improv, and one of the parts of musical improv is rhyming, and the Asian words can be really fun, but they can also be overwhelming because anything can be an Asian word. But the 2 words that mean similar things that I want to use are equivocation and prevarication. And they both kind of mean obscuring the truth or lying. And so I just like them. I don't know. There's just, and they're similar and Asian words. Because normally you try to choose 1-syllable words all right and night and street and feet, but I like the juiciness of if you can get a multiple syllable word in as a rhyme, people think you're a genius. And I would like that.
As someone who avoids music musical improv like the plague, because rhyming on command is so terrifying.
It's practicable though. It's just like lifting weights. Like it's a skill that you can learn. Aren't those great words though?
They're really good words. Yeah.
Well, listen, today, Amy, I've chosen a word specifically with you in mind, and it might be one that you've heard before. I think it is. But either way, I hope to teach you and Kyle and our audience a little bit more about it. Are you ready for your word?
I'm ready.
The word I have for us to talk about today is thaumaturgy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Great.
thaumaturgy. Is it safe to say that you've heard this word before?
I have heard this word before. Yes.
That makes sense. Kyle, I feel like you also might have heard this word before.
Oh, boy.
Just for context, Amy, Kyle has not played much D&D.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I played it once. Loved it. Had a great time, but that is pretty much my knowledge of D&D was that one session.
And did something happen where you were like, I'm never playing this again?
Yeah, it's his friend stopped having time to write games.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It's on me. So, Kyle, what are your thoughts hearing this word coming in with not as much knowledge?
So, all right. So I feel like I've come across this word before, and I think that I have an idea, but I'm going to go ahead and ask for, it's a Latin word, I assume.
The other one.
It's an ancient Greek word, I assume.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is. So Amy, I was going to ask you, obviously I know that you've heard this word in a certain context, but do you know like the real world meaning of this word?
Well, hold on. Because I do know what it is, I kind of want to hear what Kyle thinks it is. Because I think I'll get closer, you know?
Okay.
I think it has something to do with fire, if I'm thinking correctly. I think it has something to do with like controlling fire.
Okay. Amy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I that's a really good guess. Definitely controlling fire, but I think it's got to be like trickery, or I think something about trickery. Yeah.
Fire trickery. That's what happens when I cold call the fire department.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is illusion magic.
It is a transmutation cantrip, if that helps.
It does help, actually. Yeah, that is different from illusion magic. Oh, yeah, interesting.
So you guys are like skirting close, but you're not quite there. I'll give you the hint and then you can do another guess.
Yeah, a hint. I'll take a hint, sure.
Okay. The hint's not going to be that much of a giveaway anyway. The one word clue I have is abracadabra.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's prestidigitation. That's what I meant by trickery. I just didn't say it.
Okay.
Yeah, magic. Prestidigitation specifically.
Yeah. You got it.
Although prestidigitation is another spell,
but
in the magic world, I think thaumaturgy might be closer to what real life prestidigitation actually is.
I think that's fair to say. I think it's fair to say, Amy, you got it.
Yay! Eventually, we got there.
Amy, awesome.
To read the official definition, this is from, I think I quoted it from Oxford English Dictionary. Thaumaturgy is the working of wonders, miracle working, or magic. And the 5th edition D&D spell is you manifest a minor wonder, a sign of supernatural power.
But I think some of that, I think they include like what that could be. And I think, like a fire is included in that.
I know prestidigitation you can.
Oh yeah, that's the fire one I'm thinking of.
But thaumaturgy and prestidigitation, there's like overlap.
Thaumaturgy, prestidigitation, and minor illusion are all like crazy similar. And I don't make it my business to memorize every freaking spell in the book.
And I feel like oftentimes they're flavor spells anyway. So like whatever a player wants to do, it's like, meh.
I do have to say, I wrote a song called The School of Magic School, which is about all the schools of magic, because there are 8 of them. And they're always very difficult to remember. And as a DM, you have to know them when someone casts Detect Magic.
Yes, you have to be able to tell them.
So let me tell you, this is the rhyme I came up with. Conjure, abjure, divination, transmute, illus, evocation, doing fine, but now we can't forget necro and enchant.
Beautiful.
It's great. I want to go back for a second, Emily, and just say the working of wonders, which is one of the definitions that you gave for thaumaturgy, sounds like it's a union job. Which I love that idea.
Yeah.
Blue collar
Yeah.
magic workers, you know.
Let's talk about these workers of magic. So our modern English word thaumaturgy is ultimately derived from, as I said, the ancient Greek word thaumaturgos, which meant a miracle worker or a wonder maker. The first half of that word comes from the Greek root thauma, which meant miracle or wonder or marvel. I saw a couple different theories about this root thauma. One side said it's possibly related to the Greek word thambos, which meant amazement or astonishment or awe at the divine. And another side said it's possibly related to the Greek root thea or thea, which meant a sight or a spectacle. Can you guys think of any modern English words we might have gotten from thea?
Theater.
Theater.
Oh,
You got
theater,
it.
nice work. Oh, my brain went to panacea, which is not thea.
It is not
it is
thea.
like a cure-all, right? Like it's something
it is
that heals
yes.
everything.
That ia ending is common across a lot of Greek roots and suffixes. So that makes sense.
Well, if the person had a lisp, then we'd be doing panacea, and that'd be we'd be right on track, Amy.
Right on.
Billion, yeah.
So yeah, theater in Greek, it meant a place for viewing performances or a place for spectators. So it comes from that root meaning to spectate. That's so cool. Yeah. The second half of the word, the ergi part, comes from ergos, which meant worker, from the Greek word ergon, which meant work. Can you guys think of any modern English words we might get from ergon?
Ergonomics.
Ergonomics, you got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know what language ergonomics came through to get to us?
No.
There's no reason why you would. It's just fun. It comes through Polish.
Let's go, Poland. I mean, the unsung hero.
It meant designing for the ease of the worker. So it came from work.
Wait, how did Poland get the credit for this? That's crazy because, erg doesn't, ergon. What was that one again?
The concept of ergonomics.
Oh, the
comes
concepts of.
from
Oh,
a
okay,
Polish-
okay.
It was first written by a Polish guy.
Oh yeah,
That
well, yeah,
word.
it sure wasn't American, that's for sure. Okay.
Sing it.
Consider it to other people going, I'm looking around and people are sad. I would like to do something about the other people.
No, absolutely not an American idea.
No.
We've got loads of ergy words, metallurgy, dramaturgy, and they all have to do with some kind of working, like working with drama or working with metal.
Cool.
That's where that ergy means.
That's great to know. That's a great suffix to just have in your back pocket. You got to do some musical improv with ergy words now.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of literally one word that rhymes with that. That's 2 syllables. And I don't know. I think just orgy, like soft rhyme, slam rhyme.
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's
don't
good.
know. Yeah, that would be a really, we take musical improv into another direction, which not to say that it doesn't continue down, that path fairly often. But.
True. So a thaumaturgos, the person, or in modern English we might say a thaumaturge, was someone who could work magic and or perform miracles. These were typically people who were seen as favored by the gods or by God, who had a deep understanding of the divine or nature. Whatever the source, they were able to create miraculous or magical effects. Thaumaturge is not the only word we use to describe people like this. There were similar concepts all over ancient history. Do any spring to mind for you guys?
What do you mean?
Like ancient words for like wizards or mages or miracle workers.
I mean, you said a lot of them right now.
That is true. I meant to say less.
Prophet?
Prophet, absolutely. That's another Greek one. Someone who conveys messages from the divine or foretells the future.
I suppose cleric. You could call it cleric.
Sure.
Same thing.
Seer,
for sure. Augur, Kyle, I know you've talked about augur before. Mantis is another Greek one. Those are seers who interpreted signs from the gods, and it's where we get praying mantis from.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that until like yesterday. I was like, that's crazy.
That's the only reference for mantis that I have is the bug.
The bug is interpreting signs from God.
I like knowing this because knowing all of these words, you can come up with like faction names in Dungeons and Dragons, which are
Absolutely.
classically difficult to come up with, I think, for dungeon masters, because you need to secure a vibe pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you got to vary them up so your players don't get confused.
And you got an adjective maybe, or a noun, or an adjective acting like a noun, like the Reds, or whatever. But yeah, the mantis people, not no mantis people, that's very bad. But like dagger mantis,
Ooh.
Pretty cool.
For non-D&D people, so like a faction would be
Just any kind of group.
Yeah, just a group, like maybe someone you could join, or maybe something that's like a thug group that's up against you, like an evil or a good group, and yeah, just a group.
I would love a thug group named the Mantises.
Yeah,
that would be
Mantises. They're always gonna correct you. They're gonna be like Mantises, Mantisasis, Manti.
they can't agree themselves.
They
on how
can't
to
do it.
pronounce it.
You know it would devolve into that.
Yeah.
I want to interrupt. I don't know if now is the time, but it sounds like you have seen at least some dropout stuff. I played the Dirty Laundry one, and on that episode, it was revealed that I had dated 3 magicians.
Yeah.
Were you going to bring that up?
I wasn't going to
Or no, you're
out
gonna let
you
me
on
bring it
another
up.
platform, but
I don't mind. I think it's very funny. The truth is, I've dated 4, and one of them I dated twice, but.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th one I didn't know about until after I'd recorded that episode, and I went to the Magic Castle, and someone I had dated was there, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm a magician," and he showed me his pin, and I was like, "You are?" And I'd only gone on like 2 dates with him, but technically that counts as dating, and it
Did you,
was like
immediately call up Lily Dew.
yeah, I'm like, wait, make it more. But one of them, we didn't get into it on that show, but I did go back and date him again, like a few years later. So like, I have learned my lesson at this point, but you know what I haven't dabbled is jugglers. They're still,
Up for grabs, you're saying.
So true.
Literally, kind of, with the juggling.
Yes.
So it is tricky to tell how far the actual word thaumaturge spread. Like, I found a lot of modern day articles talking about thaumaturges, not just in ancient Greece, but also ancient Egypt, India, China. There's a thread where someone was asking, could we consider Jesus a thaumaturge? He did miracles, but I couldn't find any I think there's a fair argument to say that Jesus was a thaumaturge.
Yeah, worker of miracles. Come on.
Yeah. I couldn't find any primary resources using thaumaturge in extended context, so I don't know if for example, Hindu writings used the word thaumaturgos, or if they were mages by another name. The earliest definite examples I found were in later Greek writings, later here meaning the 3rd and 4th centuries CE as opposed to BC.
Wait, I'm going to interrupt you. So OS means male, right? And then there are other things that mean different things in Greek, like female or plural.
I think in this context, it means it's like the genitive case, which means it's relating to, like a worker of miracles.
I am wondering if you did come across, not that you would have, but any female of these thaumaturge.
Ooh.
I did. I'm going to talk about one in just a second.
Okay, I got ahead of the game. All right. I knew Emily would have it handled.
I got it. So thaumaturgos was used in later Greek writings to refer to Christian saints. A notable example is Gregorios o Thaumaturgos, later known as Gregory Thaumaturgus or Gregory the Miracle Worker. He was a 3rd century bishop who supposedly performed several miracles, including moving a mountain.
No.
Why? What do you mean supposedly? He definitely did that.
Yeah, and there's ways to track it, by the way. There's a non-zero amount of ways to track a mountain that has shifted in any way.
Because doesn't that mountain look like it's over 3 centimeters?
Yeah, trust me, it was in a different spot yesterday.
Oh my God. This is before they knew relativity, and he just moved the crowd over a little.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, see, the tree was on the left before.
Another example is Elizabeth the Thaumaturge, a 5th century nun who...
Let's go.
And I quote from Oxford Reference, sealed a dragon with her cross, spit on him, and trampled him to death.
Whoa, that...
Unquote.
All right. Well, someone who's supposedly or hypothetically moved a mountain versus, you know, thaumaturgos Elizabethos is like going down. My thaumaturgus mommy can fight your thaumaturgus mommy.
Seriously, like I don't think I've ever heard of a cooler thing for a saint to have done. Honestly, why are we celebrating Saint Valentine's Day? Wait, you got rid of snakes? This lady trampled a dragon.
And then spit on him. Like, that part of the lore.
Just for good measure.
Yeah. No small feat, by the way.
It's disdainful. Yeah. It's important that we remember that she hated the dragon.
Yes, there was contempt in the smothering of the dragon.
Absolutely.
Good for her. I've never heard of that saint in my life. And I feel like, you know, like I'd be way more into my upbringing as a Catholic if that was part of the catechism, you know?
They just got it all backwards there.
It needs to only be about like saints, and it should be a polytheistic situation. Yeah. And they just need to own it.
Sure. And Elizabeth did also perform like healing miracles as well. So she did it all.
Good. Yeah. She's not a one-trick pony.
No, absolutely not. Not a one-trick dragon.
One-trick dragon.
So thaumaturgy was first anglicized, was first Englishified by the medieval scholar John Dee. D-E-E. In his 1570 book, The Mathematical Preface to Elements of Geometry of Euclid and Megara, John Dee wrote, "Thaumaturgy is that art mathematical which giveth certain order to make strange works, of the sense to be perceived, and of men to be greatly wondered at."
I think they got paid by the word back then.
Amy, you have no idea. the page-long titles that Kyle and I have read.
Oh, okay.
Guys, I have a question for you. Given the criteria mathematical, strange, able to be perceived, and confusing to men, what do you think we could consider thaumaturgy?
Oh, vaginas.
Yes.
Easy. I think the anatomy of vaginas would solve that.
Wow. The speed with which you...
The first thing I do when I'm confronted is... let's math this out.
Pull out your protractor.
There's logic to this.
Okay, yeah. Look, I mean it in that way too. I also meant it in terms of the healthcare system because there is a math to it. You know, like biohacking, and then not taking into account a menstrual cycle for biohacking, where you're like every day wake up at 6, and you're like, yeah, but do you understand that every day is different for me? Every day is like one of 30 days that could be completely weird.
Yeah, I roll a D20 every time I wake up for what kind of a day my body is going to give me.
Yep.
What can we say? We're suckers for those Euclidean women.
It's wonderful, mathematical, and confusing.
So that quote was the first use in English, but thaumaturgy likely came through medieval Latin and French first, as thaumaturgus and thaumaturge, respectively.
French.
Yeah, that was. Do you see my flawless French right there?
Thaumaturge.
As I read my phonetically written out.
Yes.
So it was used in all of these languages because in the medieval era, thaumaturgy was a well-established concept in several schools of Western occultism and esotericism.
Oh.
Amy, I'm going to ask you a question that we've asked on this podcast before.
No.
What do you know about the Hermetic tradition?
I think I've heard it before, but I don't think I know anything about it.
Kyle, I know you are an expert.
I am stunned. Amy, just so you know, we just cover random words on this podcast, right? They're just words. And somehow we are always going back into the Hermetic tradition, which is just... what's Hermetic tradition, Emily?
All roads lead to Hermetic tradition.
Yeah. So Hermeticism is a school of Western occultism, one of the big ones. It is based on writings attributed to legendary Greek figure Hermes Trismegistus. Hermeticists, among others, practiced thaumaturgy alongside theurgy, and of course, alchemy. Alchemy was like the
that
big
was
thing.
the big thing.
Yeah, good.
Alchemy, very central concept in Hermeticism. One of the big things is the search for the Philosopher's Stone, which could turn base metals into precious metals and could be used to create the elixir of life and could make a fantastic Harry Potter film.
Yes.
But the crazy thing about Hermeticists and alchemy, at least from the one guy that I was reading from, they didn't do it because of that. They like that was interesting to them, but they did it because it was like, but like if we do it, the practice of doing it gets us closer to. We're not looking for outcomes here. Just doing it brings us closer to God. Because
Mercury's involved, and you're going slightly crazy all the time.
I guess that's fair.
And you're like,
it's like chefs when they cook, they also eat a little bit as they cook.
Yeah. These people are inhaling way more mercurial fumes than they think they are. Yeah. Isn't it? I mean, most of alchemy is mercury. It's involved mercury.
Well, certainly lots of things that could rattle your brain.
Metals,
they're like, I just like the process, man, but like they're just high as a kite. Sure, I guess we got gold now, but I can't sniff gold, can I?
So the other two branches that I mentioned there are theurgy and thaumaturgy. Those are the two main branches of magic in Hermeticism, as well as I think other schools of Western occultism. Theurgy is divine magic, that which invokes the power of the gods for rituals, etc. You might notice the similarity between the words theurgy and theology.
I do recognize that. Do y'all? Okay, I do believe in that a little bit. To a point. The best story I have comes from a book I read that was like, there definitely is another realm that is connected to our realm. Like they called it other plane, something like that. Where like the book was written very scientifically. It also was like arguing that there, like maybe God exists, but maybe not in the way that we think he does. Just in a sense that there's another plane that also connects all of us together. Okay. But the story that they tell, which is, it like made me laugh because it's told very droll, very like surgical, and it's basically, homeopathy where they take a thing and they dilute it so much, the thing in water, they do dilute it until there's zero trace, like not 0.1, zero trace of that thing in the water. And then they see if that has any effects. Okay. So the scientists were doing it and it was working and they were like, what is happening? This thing diluted, no trace, but it still is happening. And they were like trying to prove there's something left over from the other plane. Well, they had lots of visitors. Visitors would come and see it and be like, wow. And like, it would work most of the time. And then sometimes it just wouldn't work. And they were like, there's no variables at all. And so they just were like, what's going on? And over the course of a time period, they figured out there was a variable. And the variable is that when one woman was in the office, it wouldn't work. She had nothing to do with the experiment. And then when she was gone or out of the office, it would work. And I'm like, I know that woman. That woman just like tanks, just her presence is like tanking things. She's the cooler, and it was just so funny because it was written so like objectively. And I was like, no, this needs to be written a little more subjectively where it's like that bitch, over there when she shows up.
Janice, you ruined everything, Janice.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Karen shows up and just generally sucks. I'm like, I know who that person is. Y'all got to get her out of your lab.
Every thaumaturge has one, in their office.
Isn't that great though? They're like, God exists because we're all connected. And this like weird woman made it, her presence just like made our visionary experiment not work in front of people. Like, oh, that's so funny.
So that's theurgy, divine magic. Thaumaturgy, I often saw defined as practical magic. It uses tools like wands and talismans, as well as rituals like incantations and magic circles, and it creates more like tangible, perceivable effects as opposed to spiritual ones.
What time period we talking about here?
Medieval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
All of that said, the much more widespread use of thaumaturgy today is in the realm of fantasy fiction, such as Dungeons and Dragons.
Heard of it.
So, Amy, just off the top of your head, can you remember anything specific about thaumaturgy as it exists in 5th edition D&D?
Thaumaturgy. Yeah, I think if I'm remembering correctly, you can make a voice appear and you can make it louder or softer, a voice or like a sound. You can change like the temperature of the room, or like things like that.
I think a lot of it is about like making yourself more like intimidating or bigger.
Oh, is that what it is? Did I get it wrong? Was I doing
No, I mean it does.
It's
Yes, like I mean, as we established, they all sort of
I'm gonna freaking look it up right now. I might have been doing prestidigitation.
Thaumaturgy is like you can make your voice louder. You can make doors and windows open up.
Oh, cool. Oh no, I think I got it right. Yeah, prestidigitation is like a little more trinkety. Yes. Your voice booms. Oh yeah, look, a sound that originates from a point of your choice within range, just as a rumble of thunder, the cry of a raven, or ominous whispers. That's the one I think most people use in my experience. And maybe as a DM, I'm like, yeah, you can make it sound like an army is approaching. Who cares? Like, let's see. And I'm like, yeah, that's thaumaturgy. Or also if someone had the prestidigitation spell, I let them do that too. Yeah. And I'm like, that's why I don't know, because I'm like, that sounds really cool. Cast it,
Yeah. So it's only available to clerics. It's a cleric spell, which in D&D are like religious figures. I think it's interesting because like it does fit in with the ancient idea of a thaumaturge being a religious figure, but not as much with the medieval idea of it, like as opposed to theurgy.
Oh yeah. I didn't know. I didn't know it was only a cleric spell.
It is. I thought warlocks could take it, but they can't.
That's nuts. That's so weird when you start looking at spells like when it's like, nope, only this class can do it. It's very interesting. I don't do that very often, but yeah, this is news to me that only clerics can take it.
And it is also a cantrip, which in D&D are like less powerful spells that you can cast as many times as you want. And we kind of talked about this already, but I've always seen it as a spell that's like mostly for flavor.
Yes.
Not so much for like practical utility. Do you see it get used in like
No, like I said, I mean,
ways?
it's mostly, that's why I thought it was an illusion spell, because it's like, they use it mostly to be like, it sounds like voices are over there, or like the crow of the raven. It's normally sounds that are outside of your scope of what you can see. And so that to me sounds like illusion. So it's weird because transmutation is like changing one thing into another thing.
Yeah. I recently looked up what the transmutation spells are. It's a weird mix.
Is it?
Because like bark skin is transmutation.
Well, that's like changing your skin that exists into bark. So that makes sense to me.
We run the risk of getting into a very inside baseball conversation.
I don't care. I don't care. Kyle said this one out. Tap out for a hot second because this matters to me.
Transmutation spells are great.
But harmless tremors in the ground, instantaneous sound or instantaneously unlocked a door. I guess that would be transmuting. Whatever.
I would say that's a very generous definition of transmutation. If you're saying, you can just open it. Oh, now I've changed the door from being unopened to being open.
Thank you. But I also see it because illusions they don't exist. Like most illusion spells, they don't actually exist. Whereas transmutation, it's like, no, it's physical. It's like, it's practical. Sure. It is practical. But sometimes you just you got to pick a school of magic, and
that's it. We had to fill up the 8th one, so this is where it landed.
Yeah.
Have either of you come across thaumaturgy in other media, not D&D?
Oh, it's probably in I'm sure there are video games that use thaumaturgy.
Yeah. It's just like a
Final
good
Fantasy or something.
magic word that gets thrown around.
Magic word. I know. I'm like trying to think if there might be some magicians who like use it in their description. Like you can expect an hour of magic whimsy and thaumaturgy. Or I've seen prestidigitation a lot in magic pamphlets, and that normally means like close up magic, where the coins
like legerdemain
and cards. Yeah, exactly.
There is a book titled Authentic Thaumaturgy, which is basically a set of rules and guidelines for portraying magic accurately in fantasy role-playing games.
Oh.
What? How long is this book? Is it like a flyer?
No, I think it's like a full book. It was first published in 1978 by Isaac Bonowitz, who it looks like was not the best of people, so we don't have to say much about him.
Okay.
He was a hermeticist and a neo-pagan druid, so he wrote this book based on like his own practices in magic. But in 2013, the book was edited and republished by Steve Jackson Games. So now it's a Steve Jackson Games book about
my
how to
gosh.
put magic in your RPGs.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I probably won't ever read that book, to be honest.
Steve Jackson Games, what do they do?
I'll tell you what they're most famous for. They're most famous for GURPS.
Oh, really?
Yes, the generic universal role-playing system.
Good for them.
Which is a TTRPG system made by Steve Jackson Games, and has a rulebook titled GURPS Thaumaturgy.
Oh, it's the study of thaumaturgy.
It is.
Study, not the working of the magic.
Yeah, so
the study.
thaumaturgy, another real word, which goes at least as far back as the mid-1800s and means the description or discussion of the miraculous.
I bet that is what it means. Good for them.
That's how we get down to figure out what Miracle Whip is thanks to the thaumatologist.
Yes. That's some transmutation magic.
Yes, it must be.
Is it thaumatology?
Thaumatology. There are actually like a handful of thaumato words that use that root, one of which I might dig into on our Patreon. So look for that.
Is it
fun?
thaumato or thaumato?
Seth made the same joke. Let's
Seth,
call the whole thing off.
Let's call the whole thing off, Seth. Oh, I see you.
Yeah, so GURPS is meant to be a very generic RPG system that you could use for any kind of story, but the thaumatology book is for adding magic and thaumaturgy into your game. And there's loads of thaumatology sub books.
Wow.
I don't get GURPS. I've never played in GURPS. So
I've never played
nothing about
GURPS,
it.
but mad respect to someone who was like, actually, let's take genre all the way out.
Yeah, break it down to its fundamentals. Yeah.
I'd say also mad respect for being able to stake your claim to something that you call GURPS, honestly.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't know. I will say there are things, I think they knew what they were doing. I don't know about you, Emily, but like when I'm DMing, there are things that I do just for me. And if they figure out what the acronym is, it's nice for me. Like,
Super
for
fair.
instance, I did one that was Fiends United headquarters. And I'm like, yeah, if any of you guys want to do, like, just say that out loud. That's just fun. It's just the F word. It's just, but
funny.
Sure.
Fiends Yep.
But now, you guys, I have reached the end of my performance. That is my diatribe on
we should
thaumaturgy.
applaud.
Oh my gosh.
That was amazing.
So
I did learn a lot.
roses.
But Amy, now I want you to perform a little marvel by using thaumaturgy in a sentence.
Okay.
That is my challenge to you. Or, I guess, thaumatology.
Yeah.
Or
This is the
thaumaturge.
hardest part of the episode.
Any
so take your
form
time.
of the word.
My favorite men to date, no thaumaturgy.
Beautiful.
You can't say your favorite. You swore off of them.
They are my favorite. I'm just never doing it again. But I do have the best stories from them. God bless all of them. It's like they're doing good work out there, and yeah, they're all a little weird. But guess why I dated them? Like I didn't go in with my eyes closed. I knew what I was doing.
We don't want
Yeah.
normies.
Yeah.
Roll
Let's get some
strange.
freaks up in here.
Do you guys want to play a little game?
Yeah,
More
that's
than
all I
anything.
want to do, actually.
Absolutely. Today's minigame is called, I'm sorry, could you spell that? Thaumaturgy. It's not the only D&D spell to pluck a crazy word out of obscurity and just start using it like it's a normal word that we all know. So for this game, I'm going to give you some other spell names, and I want you to tell me what the real words mean. Amy, you've got the benefit of your D&D
I do
experience.
have a bit of advantage.
Kyle, you have the benefit of your linguistic experience. And in the spirit of tabletop RPGs, you're going to put together your skills and work collaboratively to defeat
love
the bad
this.
guy that
Oh,
is
I like
me.
this. Oh, that's great.
All right, first one, we've mentioned it before, prestidigitation.
Oh, sorry.
We've given that one away, but do you want to recap it?
Yeah, I mean, what the spell is?
What the spell or the real word?
Oh, I mean, it means magic, like with your hands. That's like fiddly magic.
Digit.
Yeah, digits, things that you think you can obscure coins and cards. In D&D, again, it's more like tinkering stuff. Like, you can make a candle turn on or not. Yeah.
Is the Presti prefix, is that like quick?
It is. Wow, Kyle, you're nailing this.
Presto,
Like presto,
changeo.
changeo, yeah.
You guys are nailing this.
This
So
is awesome.
it's a French word originally. It comes from the French preste, meaning agile, the Latin digitus, meaning fingers, and the French suffix ateur, which means doer, a guy that does quick things with his fingers.
Well, I could actually rhyme that with equivocation and prevarication, prestidigitation.
Perfect.
More syllables, so got to get that in there. But
then it gets tough with the rhythm.
I mean, there's so many. It's too many syllables. You know, we should just say prestidigits.
Yeah, who needs
That's
it?
too many. Well, here's a nice short one. Your next word is Gaius.
Oh yes, this is a broken spell. This spell lets you do whatever the fuck you want. We'll leave it there.
You can say what the spell is if you want. You guys are working together.
Oh, that is the spell. You do whatever you want. Like you say a thing and it happens basically. Like you force something to happen as a player. You just cast it and it's like, yeah, that's it. And it's a big, like it could be a big thing too, like a deity dies or something.
I don't think you can do that. The 5e spell is you give a magical command that a target has to follow.
I thought it was like you could make a wish. It's like a wish
No,
spell.
that's wish. That's a 9th level
That
spell.
is wish. Oh, okay.
Gaius.
All right.
Yeah, Gaius is
Fair
like
enough.
you tell someone to do something.
Got
and
it,
they have to follow it. The duration of the spell is 30 days. So it is a little bit broken.
There's a time on it.
I mean, there's always a time on a spell, but it's usually like 6 seconds.
I have no idea what this means in real life, though.
I would like you to guess what it means in real life.
Oh gosh, Kyle, I think you're going to be better at this than me.
I mean, I don't even know. It's only 4 letters, and none of them look familiar to me in that arrangement. So
Yeah, is it? I think. What if this is a made up word? Because Gary Gygax was known to do that. Is it made up? Can I ask
It
you
is
that?
not made up,
It's
but
not
it
made
is
up?
taken wholesale.
Okay, control. Maybe it's like control.
oh, that's yeah.
So this is an Irish word. It comes from the Irish gish, and it means, in Irish, it's a magical command or prohibition.
Oh, it's a
from
one
doing
for
something.
one. Well, why didn't we just guess that, Kyle? Why didn't we just guess
It was
that?
a trick.
It wasn't.
And in English, it means an obligation or a prohibition magically imposed on a person. It just means
cool,
what
cool.
Gaius is.
Oh, it's a one for one all the way around, actually.
How often were they talking about that?
I mean, Celtic magic is a whole other thing, you know? There's some creepy stuff in there.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm glad to know that.
All right, next one I have, enervation.
Ooh.
Pass.
Yeah, this is a niche spell.
Yeah, I actually don't know this one at all. I guess evocation spell, just because it has some similar letters in there. Evocation is like in charge of the elements. So earth, fire, air, water.
It is actually a necromancy spell.
Oh, okay. Oopsies. Kyle?
No, it doesn't sound like what it is.
Oh, it doesn't sound like what it is. Okay.
No.
I see. I always thought enervation, but maybe I'm thinking of a different word with 2 N's. It means to like scare something or to make something move.
Oh, to
like
scare it?
Shake something up, to like...
To apply fear? To introduce fear into someone? A lot of necromancy spells do that.
It's true. It's drifting in the right direction. I'll tell you guys. So the spell is the target takes necrotic damage and you heal half of what they take. But the real word means a feeling of being drained of energy or vitality.
Oh, that's cool. Kyle, you should have known that.
I should have known. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. It was all on me,
you buffoon.
honestly. I am a vampire, so like I should know my lexicon.
I mean, that makes sense. I guess I was like, enter. That sounds like energy. That's way too close to home. You know, like I wasn't. That
So
seemed like
there's actually a split. It's the word parts are the Latin ex, meaning out of, and nervus, meaning sinew or nerves or muscle. So that the e and the nerve are actually separate.
Oh, neato.
Yeah.
That's a cool
really
spell.
good.
I've never used it in my life.
Me neither.
So the real word means like how innervation is like the loss of energy.
feeling drained of energy or you feel enervated.
Oh, yeah, like I can't go to work today. I'm enervating.
Enervated.
Yeah, well, no,
I'm enervated,
probably
yeah.
more like, I can't go to work today. Janice enervates me. Probably is more.
Yeah. Janice is actually enervating our entire project. So Janice needs to stay home.
All right, last one, you guys.
Okay.
Shillelagh. And that is with this debate. Every time someone is doing this spell, they're like, I don't know how to pronounce it. I looked it up. It's Shillelagh.
Yes,
Shillelagh.
that is Shillelagh. And I know it's a low level spell. It's either a cantrip or I think it might be a cantrip or first level. I think it just makes your weapon a little stronger. I think that's what it does.
I thought a shillelagh. Oh, so maybe this is my guess for what the real word is. I always thought, I don't know where it came from, but I thought a shillelagh was like a little walking stick.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it actually is. It's just like a little guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing ornate. It's just like a thing.
Yeah. That like leprechauns use. Or
It
hobbits,
does. Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. Maybe that's the Irish part. But yeah, I think you're right.
You are both correct about
Oh my gosh.
what you're saying. Yep. So the 5e spell allows you to turn an existing club into a magically stronger weapon. If you have
Specifically a club.
yes, specifically a
club
club.
sandwich with that.
It's one of those spells where you're like, okay, like really, we're gonna write this spell in the book and consider it a freaking spell? Like it's so niche.
But the real word is a thick stick of blackthorn or oak, usually used as a weapon.
Wow.
Yep.
Used as a weapon.
cool.
Interesting.
Yes, comes from the Irish sal, meaning cudgel or club, and éile, meaning strapped, because it usually had a little strap on the end of it. And actually, I should say that's only a possible etymology. Another possible is that it is derived from a place called Shillelagh in County Wicklow, Ireland.
Where they just love violence.
They beat the crap out of each other every day.
Amazing.
Good job, Amy. We did it.
We did it.
We swept the board here.
No, we didn't. We got to remember enervation. And I don't think I'll forget that anytime
we
soon.
Swept the board.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna. My spell that I'm casting today is that I'm gonna convince everyone we swept the board.
Yes, I'm gonna put a geas on Emily to say,
Yes.
make us win.
You guys win. I have to say
works.
that.
Amy, thanks so much for being here today
my
and for
gosh.
helping us out. We had so much fun. This was a great time.
I
We hope
had
you
so much fun. One time when I was under an influence, which I will not be named, I was like, y'all, with my friends, y'all, do you know what? I think my favorite thing in the world is words. And then everyone started talking about their favorite thing and they all said their children. And I was like, cool. I think I'll stick with words.
I'm good with where I'm at.
I have been there before.
So
Yeah.
this has been a lovely episode.
And we appreciate having you. Thank you so much. Would you mind letting the people out there know where to find you and what you're up to in the future?
Oh, yes. So you can find me on pretty much every social media site at Vorpahl Sword, Vorpahl Sword. And you can also find my Patreon, patreon.com/Amy Vorpahl. Right now, I'm in the middle of teaching Dungeon Master classes, which has been really fun. And that might change here in a bit, but for the most part, I think we're going to continue that. And then check out Goblin Mode on Geek and
talk about
Sundry. Okay, it's a new actual play from Geek and Sundry. It's their new flagship show, and that's fingers crossed going to bring back the whole channel. And it will happen as long as we do have people watching and enjoying it. So that is, it's all free. You can watch it on YouTube on Geek and Sundry. You can listen to the podcast version anywhere you get podcasts. And it is through Geek and Sundry with production help from Realm Media as well. So it's a Goblin Mode. I'm the Dungeon Master, and it's about these little minions who never should have been in charge of anything, much less their own lives, finally achieving agency after their evil overlord and their entire dungeon that they worked in was obliterated.
It's a great premise.
Love it.
Yeah.
You got two excited future watchers.
Yay!
right here,
Thank
so-
you, guys.
And in addition to all of that, everybody, remember that you can find Butter No Parsnips on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you liked today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really liked today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more earns you a shout out either on social media or here on the podcast.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Kyle Imperator.
And I've been Emily Moyers, and you've been
Amy Vorpahl.
And this has been Butter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Kyle Imperator, and myself, Emily Moyers. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.